Hello, lads and lasses. Hey, if you like today's lesson, then please learn how to fly a plane and get a job as a skywriter. And then write I Heart Art in the sky over all the major cities in the country, as this would really help spread the good word about my class. Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to draw a triangle man, I call it triangle man because we use triangles to build them, but it is a drawing of a person in proportion. So you're going to need a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. That's the regular copy paper that everybody uses. And you're going to need a piece of 8.5 by 14 paper. And that is the longer copy paper that people have. See if I can get a little bit taller. There we go. That's what it looks like. That's 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14. You are also going to need a ruler. You are also going to need a pencil and with an eraser. And you're going to be drawing with a pencil. I'm going to be using markers. So I use a red marker to draw lightly. So if I draw with red, you draw light lines. And if I draw with blue, you draw dark lines. All right, we're going to start with the small piece of paper and the pencil and the ruler. We're going to put the large piece of paper aside for a minute. And I have over here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to find the half in the paper, right? It is, all right, if our paper is 8.5 inches wide, then what's half of 8.5? And the answer is 4 1/4. So let me show you how this works. Can we see? All right, I'm put my first line. Let me move it over so we see the first line on the edge of the paper, and then I find 4 1/4. 4 1/4. So there's 4, there's 5. Halfway between 4 and 5 is 4.5. Halfway between 4 and 4.5 is 4 1/4. That's that one right there. So there's that's 4, 4 1/4, 4.5, 4 3/4, 5, 4 1/4. All right. I have made a mark at the top of my paper in the middle, and I'm going to make another mark. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did. I put my first line on the edge of the paper, and then I find 4 1/4 inches, and I make a mark. Really, lights go off. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, and I expect it to go again because I am sitting still and it's a motion sensor on the light switch. So I have a mark drawn right there, a mark drawn right there, and then I'm going to line it up with a ruler, and I am going to draw a line all the way down the middle of my piece of paper. So now my paper is divided in half. Now I know you could have folded it in half, but I don't like folds in my art, so don't fold your paper. All right, so we're going to draw a figure that is 8 heads tall. Now, if he is 8 heads tall, and let's make his head an inch to keep measurements easy. If his head is 1 inch tall and his body is 8 heads tall, how tall will he be in inches? And the answer is he is going to be 8 inches tall. Now, if our paper is 11 inches long, we're doing a little bit of math today, and he's 8 inches tall, how much extra space will we have at the top and the bottom if we put him in the middle? So what is 11 minus 8? It's 3. Divide 3 by 2, and that gives us 1.5. So I'm going to come down. Let's get close to this ruler, see what's going on with the ruler. I'm going to come to the top of my piece of paper, and I'm going to put the line right on the edge of the paper. I'm going to find 1.5 inches. There is 1 inch, there is 2 inches, and halfway between 1 and 2, right there is 1.5 inches. And we're going to label that 0. This is going to be the top of his head. Then, if his head is 1 inch, I'm going to measure down 1 inch, right? And we're going to label that 1. And we can keep going. I'm going to go down 1 more inch. That's at 2. And we're going to label that 2. That's the second head. And I can keep going. There's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8. He is 8 heads tall. And if we did this right, let me go down here. And if we did this right, we'll have 1.5 inches left over. And look, there's 1.5 inches left over. So we did it right. Make sure you measure correctly. If you don't measure correctly, he won't be in proportion. All right. Whoops. All right. So, all right. So now we have a piece of paper. There's 1.5 inches at the top, 1.5 inches at the bottom, and there's space for 8 heads on here. And we're going to focus now on drawing the figure. You should have printed out this sheet, which I should have told you at the beginning. So if you haven't printed this out yet, pause the video and go and print it and come back. But this handout, it gives us a way to draw the figure. Now we're going to ignore the third one, all right? But right here is the head. It's between 0 and 1. Now they draw the head as kind of rectangular, but for us, like, what shape is the head? And the head is kind of egg-shaped. And if I have a separate sheet over here, if the head is egg-shaped, can we focus, please? All right, egg-shaped. Egg-shaped is like an oval, but it is fatter on one side than the other. So down here, the top of his head is going to be here. I'm going to make that egg shape that is thinner on the bottom. So it's an upside down egg.
Sydney, overall, please come to the front desk. Sydney, overall, please come to the front desk.
So if you are Sydney overall, you need to go to the front desk right now. All right. So that's where the head is going to be. Then if we look at this guy right here, here are the shoulders. And the shoulders are where? If you look right here, it's between, get a closer look. All right, that's a number 1. That's a number 1. That's a number 2. The shoulders are halfway between the 1 and the 2. So on my guy, the shoulders are going to be right there. But the question is, how wide do I make them? If you have the other picture printed up, it'll show you how wide to make the shoulders. The shoulders go out 1 head in one direction and 1 head in the other direction. And so if his head is 1 inch tall, then it's going to go 1 inch to the left and 1 inch to the right. So I'm going to put my 1 inch right there and 1 inch to the left and 1 inch to the right, because 1 plus 1 is 2. All right, then the picture of Triangle Man goes from the end of this line right here, and it goes down to the 5th head. That's the number 5 right there. So we're going to draw a triangle that goes down to the 5th head. All right, from the outside of this line to the number 5, and then from the outside of this line to the number 5. All right, it's beginning to look like Triangle Man. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the hips. So the hips are at the 4th line, or at the 4th head, and the hips are a little bit narrower than the shoulders. If I drew a line straight up, it'd be a little bit narrower. So at the 4th head, right here, is where the hips are going to be. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to come down from, let's see, about 3/4 of the way from the center to the outside. And that's where the outside of my hip is going to be. I'll do the same thing on the other side. From about 3/4 from the center to here, I'm going to come down, and that's where the outside of the hips is going to be. All right, now this right here draws their nipples in right here and here. So we need that at the 2nd head. The nipples are at the 2nd head. So I'm going to draw a dot here and a dot here at the 2nd head. And then I'm going to connect this nipple to the outside of the hip, and this nipple to the outside of this side of the hip. Then we're going to do the legs. And the legs are drawn with a triangle that goes from the outside of the hips. And see, they've drawn this 9th head down here. All right, the bottom of the feet are going to be at the 8th head. But to get to the shape of the legs, we're going to pretend that there's a 9th head down here. And for us in this classroom, I'm just going to make it easy and go with the bottom of the paper. And make it a little bit higher so we can see what we're doing. All right, there's the outside of my hips. This is the bottom of the paper right there, right? And I'm just going to draw a line. Maybe go up a little bit more so we can see. There we go. And from the outside of the hip. Oh, I said the bottom. Oh, man, I can't even erase that. And I want to start all over. So I go all the way to the bottom of the page. From the outside of the hip to the bottom of the page. All right, I'm going to zoom back in now. And on the 2nd one, this is how we're going to draw the feet. All right. We're going to make kind of an arch, almost a half circle. Not quite. We don't want it too tall. But we're going to, this is how we're going to draw the feet. So the feet are at the 8th head. So at the 8th head, draw a line like this. And then we're just going to make an arch right here. Almost a half circle. All right, let's take a look and see what we got here. All right, we're starting to build our Triangle Man. Then we've drawn the torso, we've drawn the legs, and we've drawn the feet. What's next? Now we're going to draw the arms. All right, now let's go zoom back in. The arms, the elbows, are at the 3rd head. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw the elbows in first. So I'm going to make right next to the number 3, I'm going to make a horizontal line that way and a horizontal line this way. Those are the elbows. Then I'm going to connect the outside of the shoulder to the outside of the elbow. And then I'm going to draw a parallel line here. I'm going to draw the outside of the shoulder to the outside of the elbow. That's a parallel line. The hands, the wrists, look at this. The wrist, if you follow this lines all the way along, are at the fourth head. So I'm going to draw the wrist here. I'm going to draw it here. And then I'll connect the inside of the elbow to the inside of the wrist, the outside of the elbow to the outside of the wrist, the outside of the elbow to the outside of the wrist, and then the inside of the elbow into the inside of the wrist. And next I'm going to draw the hands. All right. A lot of people are scared of drawing hands because it's pretty complex, but I'm going to show you like a trick on how to draw these hands. All right. And we're just going to make them look like this. You know what this looks like to me? It kind of looks like mittens. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to draw. All right. So if that's the wrist, I'm going to draw a line, a diagonal line, and then I'm going to draw a diagonal line this way. And then I'm going to draw a horizontal line this way. And then I'm going to draw a diagonal line this way. And then I'm going to draw a line that way. All right. That represents the thumb. And then here's the hand. So draw the thumb and then the hand. Do the same thing over here. Just going to do a mirror image. The thumb goes on the inside. Diagonal, horizontal, diagonal, diagonal. Those are the hands. Easy peasy. All right, they're like mittens. Okay, let's take a look at our guy. Is he finished? What is he missing? He is missing his neck. So let's make his neck. All right, the neck is going to be slightly thinner than the head. So, all right, like that. And then, but this is too square of a shoulder. So the last little bit of detail that we're going to do is then we are going to, about halfway down, draw a diagonal out to the shoulder. All right. There's our triangle man. And the only thing I want to do now is I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with this, have some, just round out the shoulders and even like put a shirt on the guy, put some like clothes. So I'm going to put his shirt, he's going to have a shirt like this. He's going to have some sleeves, and then like he's going to have some pants, and I'm making like just some crinkles in the pants, and then pants. All right. And then, I don't know, give him a watch, right? Oh, and let me just show you like a couple things to do for the face, all right? I'm going to show you a couple of tricks just to do a simple face. And we're doing a guy, all right? We're not doing a girl. So, a girl I would do a little bit differently. But instead of doing, the kind of eyes that you've been taught about how to do in maybe elementary school, all right, instead of that, we're going to do a horizontal line and a horizontal line and do like, well, that's terrible. You know what? All right. I'm going to show you how I do faces. So if this were my head, all right, and I do like a squarish kind of eyes, all right? And then just a very wide V shape for the nose. That's it for the nose. And then I do a line and it dips down like that. And then I do a line under it. That's it. That's all I do for a face. All right. So you can draw the face in like that. All right. And and then his shirt needs a collar. All right. He's wearing a t-shirt. Maybe he's wearing a Nike shirt. So we'll put a Nike sign on him. All right. Is that a backwards Nike? I don't know. I don't know Nike. All right. and just have a little bit of fun. Maybe put some hair on them or something. All right. So that's what your assignment. That's half of Triangle Man. The next half is I want you to do it on your own. And it has to be a different size. So you cannot trace this. It has to be, that's what the longer paper is for. So if you get the longer paper, and so there's my short paper, there's my long paper. We're still going to make it 4.5 inches from the center because it's still 8.5 inches. See if we can zoom. All right. So from the left side, 4.25, not 4.5, 4.25. 4.25 inches here and 4.25 inches here. And because it's longer than my ruler, I'm going to do a 4.25 inches there. Oh, by the way, I guess that most of you will not have an 8.5 by 14 paper. Here's what you're going to do. If you have tape or glue in the house, you're just going to glue 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 together so that it makes an 8.5 by 14 piece of paper. All right. That's just what you're going to have to do. All right. Or staples. You can staple it together. So I am going to draw a vertical line. Draw a vertical line. Now this time his head is going to be 1.5 inches tall. So if his head is 1.5 inches tall and he's 8 heads tall, how tall will he be in inches? And the answer is he'll be 12 inches tall. And if this is an 8.5 by 14 piece of paper, how tall, or like where do we draw the first line? Or if he's 12 inches tall, the paper is 14 inches tall, and we need to put him in the middle, how much extra space will we have at the top and the bottom? All right, you got to do your math. You're going to have 2 inches left over, and you divide that by half. So we're going to measure down 1 inch and start the top of the head. So we get down here and zoom in, and we hit our autofocus. All right, from the top of the paper, it's going to be 1 inch. And then it's going to be, and we're going to label that 0. And then what's 1 plus 1.5? It's 2.5. So that's 1. That's his chin. Or, the other thing you could have done is come down here and just measure 1.5. And you can keep doing that. So, I can measure down here 1.5. And then I can move this. I'm going to label that 2. Oh, there goes the lights. Okay, everybody. So you're going to continue measuring your paper. Let's do a focus. And so that was 1 inch, and that's 1.5, 1.5, and you keep going. 1.5, 1.5. There's 1.5, and then we're going to label that 3, 1.5, and we're going to label that 4, and 1.5. We're going to label that 5, 1.5. We're going to label that 6, 1.5. We're going to label that 7, and 1.5. We're going to label that 8. And if you do that correctly, you'll have 1 inch left over at the bottom. And there it is. Okay, so you can go back and review the videotape or the video, and it's the same process. I want you to draw the same drawing, but I want you to draw it bigger. I'm not going to teach you how to draw the second one, And so what I'm going to grade on Friday is that you have 2 triangle men. One is 8 inches tall and the other one is 12 inches tall. All right, and that's the assignment.
Well, that's it for now. And until next time, be a little art factory.